Welcome to the Unleashed Life, where ambitious women take control of their mindset, money, and mastery. I'm your host, Dr. Renée Baker. Let's get unleashed. Welcome back to the Unleashed Life. My name is Dr. Renée Baker, and I am the host. And today, I am joined by Chris Cyrille, founder of SNTIMNT AI, and just an amazing, innovative human. So Chris has started his career in corporate data finance, but his journey has stretched across finance, fintech, AI, and social impact. He's a TEDx speaker, a recognized innovator, and a leader who blends creativity with technology to build ventures that are both profitable and purposeful. So from behavioral finance to sustainable menswear, Chris is proving that innovation doesn't have to fit in a box. So today we're going to dive into his story of vision, resilience, and what it takes to live unleashed. Welcome to the podcast, Chris. It's wonderful to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. First off, thanks for that intro. I want to go on the record in saying, Dr. Renée, you've been, ever since we've met, you've been just so inspirational, and just your story, even with everything you have going on, you still just, check up on me and all those things. And so just want to let you know, I don't take any of that for granted. I love you. I love your family. And so it's an honor to be on this platform. It really is. And everything you've built here. Super proud of you. Very excited to see where everything goes from here. And I'm super happy to just, be considered and to share my story with your audience.
Oh, thank you. See, don't make my eyes get wet. This is thank you is very, very kind. And you have been, I've known you for a while, and watching you grow and build and do what you said you were going to do. And I remember meeting you with your notebook and your wonderful questions. And then I became even more impressed with you because you share the same birthday as my husband. So it's like, no wonder, I just love you. And I love your family as well. So, but mostly what I'm inspired by is the way you continue to innovate. I mean, you are a young innovator. I mean, you came into the game ready, and that just always makes me so excited. And then when I heard about what you were doing with your new company, I really got excited because I'm a huge fan of all things technology and innovation, and you launched a company called SNTIMNT AI. And let's talk about your personal journey and how that helped to influence your vision for this cause, but for behavioral finance and sentiment analysis. And I think people might need a little bit of an explanation of that, Chris, because it's really cool.
Yeah, for sure. So as far as the inspiration goes, I'm a first generation Haitian American, right? So my parents came from Haiti in the 90s. They had me here, my younger sister. I had two older sisters born in Haiti as well. And we didn't know much about the markets, right? I mean, we didn't have the knowledge, the gall to think about investing. There's so many things that needed to be taken care of in the moment than to, think about the future. I mean, it wasn't until I got into college, I started to hear more about, stock markets and things of the sort like that. But deep within me, I was still afraid of it, right? It's something we just didn't talk about growing up. And I decided to dig into it a little bit deeper once we, around, of course, COVID time, right? Everyone's sitting at home. I needed another hobby, something to keep my mind off of, just the environment of the world at the time. And it made me discover that I guess what I was afraid about was actually with the power, right? That the markets aren't perfect. And that the scared I was feeling, I guess it's an emotion, right? And the market is driven by emotions, just like people are. And so that made me realize that sentiment can be harnessed for smarter investing. And that was kind of the birth of SNTIMNT AI. There were signals, I feel like, laying around everywhere, and I couldn't find a platform that was harnessing them the way I felt like they could have been.
Wow. So I'm saying this respectfully. So we're in the middle of the pandemic. You're thinking, listen, I need a hobby, and I am going to look at the sentiment of the markets. Meanwhile, some of us were writing or knitting. And
Yeah.
the sentiment of behavioral finance and sentiment analysis, and essentially humanizing investing, because a lot of times it feels very mechanical. So I like this because you're humanizing the approach to investing, right?
Right. I just wanted to figure out what was everyone else thinking. So if there's something I'm afraid about, let me go learn from the smarter people, and let me get some smart people on my team to help me figure this thing out. And so yeah, definitely the human. Everything. I guess my ethos, right? My values are everything's. I try to keep it people centered.
Everything people centered, humanizing the approach, breaking down those barriers that people may have when it comes to investing in the markets. But
Right.
I like the way you have approached it, because at the end of the day, we're all people, right? We're human. Not even at the end of the day, every moment of the day we're human, and that drives markets, that drives the decision making. And since you are first generation college student, you're a founder, you're taking this company, you have this vision, you take this company, but I know you as a human, but I know that there's a deeper level to the work you do and your why.
For sure.
So can you talk a little bit? We're going to pivot just a slight amount, but I want to talk about your experiences and how you channel those experiences to uplift people through your work,
Yeah.
which you said is people centered.
Yeah, for sure. So like I mentioned, I grew up with limited access. And so what I wanted to build was a company where I can democratize that kind of access, right? And all the tools that I've been a part of has been with that cause. And so, of course, I'm building Sentiment AI in a way to empower investors and institutions. And so that all comes from just want to have more capital and technology to uplift people. And how that relates to my story is, first off, being first gen. I grew up with them, my friends, people all around me, and there's going to be another generation of first generation students who can't go to their parents for, financial advice, who can't go to their parents for with their dreams that they have, because, not to anyone's fault, but, especially for me growing up in Haitian houses, there's no room for creativity, get a job, go get some money, have a good life, because all what they see in their head, they just want us to have a better life than they did,
Right.
coming
Exactly.
up. It's not until maybe a year ago I learned that my mom never went to school. She grew up in a small church in Haiti and worked in the farm. So it made me understand why education was so important to her. So that was the first thing. But also, my younger sister passed away to pediatric cancer when I was going into college. I was 17. She passed away at 16 years old. And so, as you can imagine, that put me through deep drought, like kind of anxiety, depression, all the things. And wanted to build a tool or just wanted to build an environment or just resources to provide to those kids, those caregivers and survivors who's going through that kind of situation. Just being in it myself, it was hard to do. I don't want to say alone, but kind of alone. Being in college by myself, and I left the house, and of course meeting all these new people, but no one knows what I was going through at the time. I was kind of like, I don't want to say afraid, but didn't want to put that on other people. And so my impact is to let people know that someone who's been in those situations is on the other side. Because there was a time I didn't see a light at the end of the tunnel, and so I had to create my own light. And yeah, that's basically what I want to do and help out with the first generation college students and pediatric cancer survivor and caregivers. I want to give them that space to feel like they have a community or people they can lean on those hard days. And I'm just happy that I've been blessed with the things that I've accomplished to kind of put that at the forefront and bring awareness to the issues and the challenges, the struggles people who've been through in those situations face.
Thank you for that, Chris, because I mean, when I look at you and the broader work that you do and empowering others and mentorship and being a bridge, essentially,
Right,
you're taking the losses that you've experienced from those dark places and shining a light on for other people to be able to follow. And that is so critically important, especially for young men who might not feel like it's okay
right.
to have emotions or to feel. And I just want to honor that and say thank you, because it's not easy,
No,
and you are continuing to work through that and be that bridge for other people so they can cross from that darkness to light. And it takes some time.
yeah, most definitely.
So as we think about, so I just had to get that out, right?
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate that so much.
So and I think that ties closer to your work when it comes to sentiment. analysis. So, sentiment analysis helps people make smarter investment decisions. And I'm a big fan of artificial intelligence and the work and what we can do with it. And sure, I know I haven't even touched the surface of
Yeah.
it. But what role does AI play in helping to manage risk in today's market?
Yeah, for sure. Great question. And so, as I mentioned before, right, I felt like there were signals laying all over the place, and it just showed me that emotions, not just the math, move the markets. Granted, I have great quants on my team that are doing awesome things, and I love the way that we're implementing sentiment into our models. And so AI at Sentiment AI really tracks the behavior in real time. We're looking to be real time, get our signals out quick to our investors or even to our trading platform. And we want to turn that chaos into patterns. And when we first started thinking of how to develop this model, we took the route of the Ramsey theory. And the Ramsey theory basically says that if a structure is big enough, we have enough data points, disorder is impossible. A pattern will show itself. And we did months and months of research. And we found the patterns. We found different signals in the sense, whether it be sentiment or technical indicators that showed us the path, the way the market's moving. And so the outcome from that is better timing, risk management, and of course performance. We want to allow institutional investors, whether family offices or entrepreneurs, high net worth individuals, that this is a platform they can trust in and keep things moving.
I mean, you always blow my mind, but I don't think people think about that connection to money mindset and how emotion and finance intersect.
Yeah.
And you've explained it very well and laid out that pattern. How can people how does this show up for individuals, right? Like you've started your career in corporate data science, so you're already thinking that way.
Yeah.
But when we take what you're doing and we're taking the sentiment analysis and all the risk work that you're doing and tying the human aspect to finance, how can that carry over into entrepreneurship?
Yeah, for sure.
We're unlearning things. I mean, I'm a newer entrepreneur, spent my 30 plus years in corporate,
Yeah.
but we have to unlearn a lot of things, Chris.
Yeah, for sure. So I think, well, let's start with in my just corporate career, I learned a lot. I learned about structure, right? I think that I sometimes, like in the beginning of my career, I was just a young professional. I didn't know any better. I felt like a cog in a machine. Like, well, if me, the cog breaks, this machine's going to keep going, right? And I think that helped inform me as a leader now with my team. Whatever's assigned, I try to show them or explain how a specific task affects the bottom line, helps the company forward. Of course, analytics, performance dashboards, things from executive strategy perspective. As far as what I had to unlearn, I would say, the red tape, forget the red tape, right? I
That's
feel like in the corporate world, I was in a box, but now my team, even I say, hey, if there's something you think is cool that we can implement, let's try it out. We'll see if it works or not. Anything you're learning outside of here, let's bring it in. Let's put our brains together. So bureaucracy, red tape, waiting for permission. And so as a founder, speed and conviction is everything. And so just making sure that I kind of bring that in front of my team. And so those are probably the what I've learned from my corporate world, what I've had to unlearn from my corporate world, and how it's shaped me to be a better leader for my team. I just want to, even with my leads, excuse me, with them, I try to show them like the strategy perspective, like from a leader, what direction are we going in? This one thing I was thinking about as well is that what I also learned is that you can't keep anybody, right? But if they, for some example, have an offer somewhere else that I can't match,
right.
I want them to go beyond Sentiment AI by saying we learned something there. I became a better professional working at Sentiment AI. And so I always want to make sure that put them in the best position to win, to learn as much as possible. And so hopefully, of course, their future is with Sentiment AI, but if not, we got them another step closer to their dreams and the life they want to live.
Well, I really appreciate that you shared that because corporate definitely gives us systems and
Mm-hmm.
we learn so much. I'm so grateful for my corporate experience because it gave me systems. But on the other side of that, entrepreneurship gives you a level of freedom that you have to manage. And I know it is hard for this woman here at this age, good old age here, to unlearn so many of the systems. But what you laid out is applicable for all of us, right? We have to be able to learn fast, right? Try it,
Absolutely.
test it, learn fast. Speed is everything, especially now.
Yeah.
And we don't have time. Failure is part of the process. Is fail fast,
For sure.
is what I always say. Just let's just fail, let's just fall, and so we can get back up. But the sooner we do it, the better, because then we know what we don't need to do. But it is also a test, right? Because it
Yes.
tests your ability when you're an entrepreneur, when you're a founder. It tests your ability to be who you say you're going to be and show up despite that. And I really think it takes a lot of courage to do this work and to move fast and let people be great. Sometimes now people on the other side of that, you also have to let people go because we don't have our burn rates are not for we don't have money just to give people money because
For
we need
sure.
to put that back into the business. So yeah, you can go be great if you're great or if you're not, but we're gonna let you fly either way.
Yeah. For sure. For sure.
So when you as you were scaling sentiment, you know, you took this idea and you made it a platform.
Yeah.
So what did you need to do, or how you attracting investors and partners to make this real?
Yeah, for sure. So opportunities like this, right, gets me an opportunity to share a bit about the company, our values. Hopefully, they see in me that this is kind of the value of the company as well. But building a team, right, trying to find the proper people. I always, as my friends, I tell them it was a good problem to have that I was going through hundreds of resumes, right?
Right.
But you kind of have to go through it with a fine tooth comb and really identify who will provide value immediately and who believes in the dream and things of the sort. And so let's start off there, right? And then just getting the algorithm together. How do I get the things in my mind onto like a paper, into code and tangible that it can perform the way we want it to? And of course, real money validation. After paper trading, let's start putting some money into there. Let's start getting some profits. Let's start to realize where we are winning, where we're losing. Let's adjust accordingly.
Yes.
And of course, now that brings us to today, where we're attracting institutional partners. And so the keys here, as far as the scaling from beginning to where I'm now and eventually where I want to go to the future, is the clear results, transparency, and then building trust through data and execution.
Okay, so you're not no games played.
Nah.
No games played. I know that about you. Like, it's good for everybody else to be able to know and get the word out, because as a founder, you're hiring, you're building, you're validating, you're scaling, you are putting into place results based. And I'm all about results. My initials are RB, results
There
based.
you go. That's
Results based, play to win. I love that you're anchoring your vision and your voice in tangible ways, because this is, I mean, first, you're a data scientist, so you're going to think that way. But I think it's important, especially as a founder, to be able to showcase the results, especially when you're attracting partners and specifically institutional investors, because you know from your conversations, they're going to be looking for that credibility,
for sure.
and you're going to be bring it. So I think that's a reminder for those that are listening, that at every stage, whether you are beginning or middle or you're thinking about your exit strategy, to make sure that you are showing results and showcasing them and pivoting where you need to. So I appreciate how real you make it for people, and think about strategy versus execution. And while they both have a place, execution for the win.
For sure. Most definitely.
But you're also a speaker. You're a speaker and an innovator, and you have these this big picture vision, and then
Yeah.
you have the day-to-day realities of what you're navigating, and as a leader and as a founder and someone who has a multidimensional, I would say. But how do you know, I've asked you this multiple times, but how do you balance that, and how do you stay grounded, Chris?
For sure. For sure. I start by saying I just have wonderful people in my life. I don't take them for granted, whether it's my family, friends. whoever the case it might be. I just have a solid circle around me.
Mhm.
But also personally, internally, I just try to keep the main thing, right? What's the big picture? What's the world that I want to create? And that's building the future of investing, especially with what I'm doing with Sentiment AI. As far as my day to day, where it comes to leading a team, setting deadlines, I'm real big with my deadlines. We're trying to secure funding, we're hitting our milestones, and all the things of the sort. And so I try to stay grounded by just, again, meeting with my friends and the people in my close circle, staying on top of the things with work. I'm literally sitting in front of my calendar right now, day to day agenda and things I'm checking off as the day goes on. The bigger thing, right? I try not to let perfect be the enemy of good.
Oh, can you say
I
that again? I think people need to hear that.
try not to let perfect be the enemy of good,
Yeah.
because I know me, I'm a stickler for things, and so if things aren't pinpoint the way it is, I can get riled up by that. But in a world where I have so many things going on, positive things going on, thank God, I try to allow myself that grace and say, I've made progress today, and that's always the biggest thing. Another thing to me is 1%, 1% better every day, 2% better every day, and just getting better every day. It doesn't have to be perfect, because every day my best foot forward looks different. On a bad day, my best foot forward looks like relaxing. On a great day, my best foot forward looks like meeting with some investors. But every day, as long as I'm putting my best foot forward, and letting that be dynamic and how it shows day to day.
Yeah, and that's a good balance. And I'm not going to say that I know anybody that's like that and has that perfectionist
Yeah, right.
stickler for things. Leslie Baker, but I understand that
Yeah,
approach, but I do like that you said, don't let perfect be the enemy of good, because, perfection is seductive, but it can also be very, very paralyzing.
oh
And
yeah,
when you're good, at least you're shipping, you're testing, you're improving, but good makes the next move possible,
there you go.
because perfection can get you stuck and it never really leaves a tab because you're always chasing the next best.
For sure.
So getting better every day, G-bed mentality, 1%. And sometimes that 1% looks different than the day before, but it's at least getting better every day. And I think that that is something for everyone listening, that's all within our control, no matter what is going on.
Most definitely.
And part of your getting better every day is how you show up in the world touched on this in the beginning, but you show up in the world from the heart, right? And you have these philanthropic efforts like supporting pediatric cancer research and first gen students. How does that align with your business goals?
For sure. Good question. So above all, I think money is just the fuel for impact. Um, and as I guess anyone, how you use it, how you spend it, is the impact you decide. For me, and what I've been through in life and my values, it so happens to be pediatric cancer and first generation college students. And so I haven't probably talked about this much, but eventually, what I want to do is start a scholarship for first gen students or pediatric cancer survivors and caregivers, and using Sentiment AI and what I'm doing here again as a way to show them that there's a way out. You don't have to stay stuck where you are. Granted, we're all humans and not every day is great. There's some days I sit around, I'm still thinking about my little sister and just memories and things of the sort. Whenever her birthdays come, whenever, the death anniversary date comes by, of course. But want to create a community where we're able to provide some kind of guidance or resources to just make their life a little bit easier. And so, as far as the business, the capital that we come up with, the profit we make, of course, part of it, outside of paying the team and investing it back to the business, will definitely go towards these philanthropic efforts, and so that we can create that impact in the world.
Yes, I really appreciate that. I share that similar feeling that money is a tool for impact, and I work more so I can give more. I want to be a part of the community, and similarly, giving back is part of my one of my values. It's essential to running the business, and I truly believe that for the things that matter, to us, we really have an opportunity to make a difference. And if you can take the bad parts of our lives and help make someone else's better,
Yeah,
then I think we all have a better world. So I appreciate you sharing that, and how your purpose helps to expand your reach, but also that's the reputation that I know of you, and that others will get to know, if they don't know, that that's really a big part of who you are, how you run your business, and how your business is used as a tool to help create even more broader impact.
for sure, for sure. I think that, those tough days that we get through become a testimony and probably the guiding North Star for someone else's story. I always tell people, always tell people a lot of things, but I always tell people that my ceiling should be their platform, because to know me is to know more than me, because I'll share whatever I have. Plus, you learn whatever you know, and just want to make sure I always help others.
Yes, and you definitely do. I feel like I learn from you every time we speak. I'm
Appreciate that.
like, wait, how, like, you're so wise behind your years. You're so smart. Um,
Thank you.
And one of the things that you also do is fashion is a big part. You have been, I've watched you do, well, always styling, always looking great. And even early in your career, I've seen you've done fashion shows, and fashion has just been a big part of your journey. And one of the things you talk about is sustainable menswear. So, how do you see that as a vehicle for social change?
Yeah, for sure. So a little bit of backstory for your audience is my mom was a seamstress tailor all my life, right? And so I'd always see people come into the house, she'll stitch, work on their clothes, and I always thought it was really cool just being around fabrics. That was something my younger sister and I bonded over. The sewing machine, fabrics, and just kind of creating things ourselves in the garage. And so after I graduated from my undergrad, I moved to Tampa, St. Pete area, and was like, well, what do I do now? I don't have school anymore. I need something to do. So I started digging more into fashion and started styling throughout the Tampa area. Did some few fashion shows. Spoke on how style impacted my life in the TED Talk. And so in my master's program, I actually did some research around sustainable menswear, and fashion is an industry where we have to be considerate of the market, right? There's
Yes.
body dysmorphia, there's image, there's just the way people see themselves, and making sure the apparel that they put on makes them feel like their best selves. And so, bringing it kind of to sentiment, it taught me about signals. What's trending? What are people talking about when a trend comes around? It's mostly because is it a trickle up or trickle down? It made me think of the economy and industry that way. Of course, culture, different styles from different places, different styles for different functions, whether it's cold weather, warm weather, and of course, behavior, right? How are people spending? What colors are they spending the most money on? What fabrics, what patterns, and things of the sort. And so that's how I see it, fashion being used as a way for social change, right? If designers and brands can take all those things into consideration. And I think that same sensitivity is what helped me anticipate the financial markets and things that we're building in the crypto space as well. And so the lessons I learned in the fashion space are lessons I feel like take me beyond fashion itself and into the greater cause of my cause of the world.
Which is, most people don't think about it, that there's a overlap in creativity as advocacy, money and meaning can coexist. And guess what? Fashion and fintech too. How about
There we go.
and I just, every time, now I also look at fashion through a different lens. And I know while you focus mostly on menswear, it's applicable to fashion in general. And for
For
us
sure.
to be able to look at even the sentiment on how style is done, I mean, it's
Yeah.
mind blowing. And it's also a driver for trends in fashion and fashion forward, and that sort of thing. Has that really changed your style or your approach, or you feel like it's pretty classic for you?
I try to, be with the times, I try to put in a little drip here and there. But what I learned in styling as I styled, different men, is that I had to find what my style was
Right.
first before I could style anyone else. What was my style and how did I see myself and whatnot? But that takes a lot of introspection, I would say. Like everyone has, I guess, something in their life that they want to overcome. And for me, fashion helped me overcome, again, the traumatic experiences with losing my sister, and I also had a few back surgeries and things of the sort. But
Hmm.
either way, I've kind of brought that story with me into the fashion space. So when it comes to like just style and things of the sort, I like to do what they call like trend blending. So I like to use like classical styles, throw in something new here and or here and there of what might be trending, and that's kind of how I go from there. I like to mix it up.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely mix it up in the most positive way. But
Yeah, for
not
sure.
only do you mix up your own fashion, I feel like you flip fashion and finance on its head, because
Yeah,
you, when you're where you're talking about it, sometimes people might think fashion is shallow or finance
yeah.
is
I
cold.
got
What you did is you made them, one, both human centered, and two, you showed how both can be creative. So fashion can be activism in a way, in the most positive way, and finance can be empowerment. And together they provide creativity, money, and meaning, and they can coexist. And using fashion as sharpen your eye for sentiment, and now you're using that with sentiment AI and you're working
you. Yeah.
crypto, is impressive that you're using those same instincts for the market, and that through line is pretty clear. So with all of that, you've learned a lot of lessons about money, right?
Yeah.
So when you think about the mindset, right? You think about capital and building capital as a mindset. What is this idea or this thought process that you think that other entrepreneurs need to hear, other entrepreneurs and founders need to hear?
I'd say, don't fear capital, but to structure it. There's an idea, like a common idea that, well, when you send out $1, make sure it comes back with a few soldiers as well, right? And so you have to align your growth with discipline, understanding that funding is fuel, not the destination, right? Like if you get a nice seed round, 5 million, 500,000, whatever case it might be, that's just the beginning, right? And that there's more growth, and that's probably where it gets even more difficult now that you're managing some, like, some money, and that if it's come from angels, VCs, there's people to answer to at now at that point. So that would be my first thing, is just to structure your organization, make sure you have a good framework, solid lawyer helping get all that stuff together, so that once there is an injection of resources to the company, we aren't running around with our heads cut off.
Hey, I know that's right. Talk about some structure. And I think a lot of founders need to hear that. I think
Mhm.
the underestimation is, wait, I have this $500,000 check, or I have this $5 million seed. That's not the finish line. That's just a starting pistol. Like, you're just getting
Mhm.
started. And the real
For
work
sure.
begins as you start to steward other people's capital and turn it into something sustainable and sharper.
Most
And
definitely.
angels and VCs, or venture capitalists, for those that are not aware, aren't just giving money. They're expecting to multiply it, just like us. We're not just managing money, we're also managing ideas, people, investors, and expectations.
For sure.
So thank you for laying that out. And what advice would you have for entrepreneurs who want to blend? You have blended technology,
Yeah.
creativity, and social good in your work. So mentor the audience, Chris. Tell them what advice you have for them.
Well, I guess first, when it's creativity, I think everyone has a gift. Everyone has their own perspective on life. Everyone has their own way that they've come up, you know. And I'd say to anchor in your story, find that unique lens that no one else has, and then build relentlessly, and but in that, don't ever lose your bigger why. It might be easy to get lost in the sauce, as you're getting recognition. Everyone's posting you on LinkedIn, everybody's posting you on Instagram, everybody's texting you. I know this from experience, by the way. Everyone's texting you like, Chris, good job, or whoever, good job, awesome. Don't ever lose that bigger why, because it's easy to just take the first check, the first big thing that comes your way, right? And so I think in having discernment of clarity, even of what you value, what do you want to build, what kind of life do you want for yourself, that'll help make those decisions when attractive offers come your way, and understanding if the partners or whatever the result from that is aligns with what you want in your life.
Thank you so much for mentoring us, but Chris, what you said there is the seed of the founder's creed. Don't get too big at it. and don't lose your why, even when the noise gets loud, because sometimes we can taste a little bit of success and then get pulled into that distraction. So you're telling us to don't forget, like don't forget, creativity can be universal. We're going to build relentlessly, and we're going to hold really tight to our whys, no matter how big we get, no matter how far we go, no matter how many people we impact.
For sure. Of
Thank
course.
you for that, Chris. So, as we're wrapping up on the podcast, we always talk about living life unleashed. And what I would like to know from you in your way, what does being unleashed mean to you? And can you share an unleashed moment when you had to step beyond expectations, change your path, or whatever it is that you want to share?
Yeah, for sure. I guess in the space that I am now, being unleashed means breaking the cycle of, markets are only for Wall Street, right? I want to give people the ability to anticipate and not just react. And so I guess in my unleashed moment, my life has took a few different pivots, right? And I think the most recent one, it was pitching SNTIMNT AI publicly and proving to myself and to others that this vision is real, and being able to have built a team around this vision, to be able to have interest in what we're building. I would say that's probably my unleashed moment. There's been plenty of them throughout my life, right? There's been graduating from undergrad, right? Being, I'm my parents' only boy, so to see their son walk across the stage, that was a big deal for them. I got my master's, same thing. Fashion shows, the TED Talk, wow. So I watched TED Talks all my life growing up. So to finally be on that stage was like, I can't believe it. But so many unleashed moments, right? But I think that why I'm the most proud of this most recent one about pitching this is because I was able to prove not only to myself but to others that I could take a pivot and still build upon my ideas and thoughts.
Chris, you never cease to amaze me.
Yeah.
I'm so personally proud of you. I love you dearly. And yes, I
Likewise.
said I love you dearly because I do. We
Yeah.
do. We love you, my family. And I think that everything you're doing is so inspirational. And we have to make sure, if you're listening, follow Chris. How can people get in touch with you, Chris?
Best way to get in touch with me is on LinkedIn. Just Chris Cyrille, as my name shows here, Cyrille for those listening, Chris first name. And so yeah, that's the best way to get in touch with me, or email is chris.cyrille@SNTIMNT.ai. SNTIMNT is SNTIMNT.
Thank you. We're going to include that note, and I'm including the TEDx too, because you need to watch that, because that's height. So Chris, thank you. Thank you so much for joining me on the Unleashed Life. Your journey shows that, one, it shows resilience, but it also shows that data, design, and determination can come together and create something so much bigger than ourselves. You reminded us also that money and meaning are not opposites, they're partners. And for everyone listening, please, again, check out Chris's work at SNTIMNT AI and follow his journey as he continues to innovate at the intersection of technology, fashion, and social good. And remember, being unleashed means refusing to be defined by just one lane. You don't need to do that. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. If this episode touched you, share it with a friend. Go and subscribe and make sure that you continue to live your best unleashed life. And until next week, remember, no matter what we're going through, the best is still yet to come. Thank you.
I know that's right.
Thank you for joining us on The Unleashed Life. I hope today's episode has inspired you to break free from financial constraints and societal expectations, cultivating a mindset of abundance and possibility. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform and join our vibrant online community to share your own unleashed moments and connect with like-minded individuals. Until next time, keep breaking barriers, embrace your beautiful, authentic self, and live life unleashed.